again, and welcome to Apple Tree Cottage here in the Scottish borders. It's lovely to see you again. This is episode 26 and it's airing on Tuesday the 10th of June 2025. And not particularly long episode, I don't think, today, but another weekly catch up. So if you're following me, you'll see that there is some progress in my sampler stitching. First of all, however, I decided to make a new work bag for the family sampler that I am copying. This sampler has been inherited from my mother, and it comes down through my mother's side of the family, and it was stitched, I think, by certainly by a relative of my great-great-great-grandmother, though it's actually my great-great-great-grandfather who I'm actually related to, because the line comes down through the men for 3 generations and then to my grandmother, mother, and then me. The sampler itself is in France because I gave it to my younger daughter. However, she has very, very kindly given me a series of excellent photographs, and I am endeavouring to make a copy of this family sampler. You will be hearing about it from time to time, the actual sampler, as we research and find out more about the family, and that is an exciting adventure for us all. This is the work bag. The last work bag I made was for another sampler that I'm making using silks, and the last one I made by hand, and it has cathedral window. In fact, I can show it to you. Here it is. It has cathedral window patchwork as the pocket on the front for the silk. And so the entire thing actually did take a whole week. I love using it, and I just think it's a lovely addition to my work room, this work bag. However, I'm so flooded out with work, and I'm not showing you all the things I'm actually working on at present, even in this episode. But I did want to make another work bag to keep the linen and the silk really nice. But I went to my machine, my lovely Singer sewing machine, and this was machined up actually an hour and a half, I think it took me. I hate zips. I've always hated zips. Zips in skirts, and I just hate putting them in. The needle on the machine gets jammed in the teeth of the zip, and it's just always a mess for me. A, and B, I adore ribbon. I have lovely ribbon selection, and you'll see I've used very broad ribbon on the top of this work bag here, and satin ribbon on this one, and it's decorated with just a little additional bow of ribbon there. I've also used a little bit of lace ribbon round the side of the pocket. The pocket is full of absolutely gorgeous Gloriana silk that I've chosen. The sampler itself is a Georgian sampler. It was completed in 1834 by my ancestor, and that I was finding was, interestingly, the year that slavery, I think the anti-slavery legislation was put in place in the UK, in the British Parliament, and so 1834, a rather interesting date if we look at the history. The sampler itself is really faded to the point and worn to the point where we decided not to unframe it and find out what the original colours were. And so I'm going with my own choice, but being guided by what I think would have been some of the colours, certainly, that she would have used. We still don't know her name, but we know that she stitched it at a particular school. So she was a schoolgirl. And here are just some of the colours that I will be using. All of the red shades have completely faded away in the original. So I'm choosing my own, as I say. And this is my first selection. I use West End embroidery in the UK to supply my Gloriana silk, though I can get it from a couple of other outlets as well. And just coming along, I didn't tell you the colours. The wild berry, and there's another pink that I'm using. Dried pink roses. I love this pink. It's a very sombre, sedate pink. And I've been using slate blue for the surround, and then as I've been coming along the top, I've been using sage, and there's another blue in here, and I think evergreen, no, not evergreen dark, not yet, vintage teal. Now the sage and the vintage teal and the slate blue are very close in colour, and it's producing a really nice vibrancy on the linen. The original was stitched at a pretty high count on silk. I'm using 40 count Zweigart linen in antique white, and I've chosen to go with, which will make it a very large copy. I'm not doing a reproduction, I'm doing a copy of this sampler. And it's going to be pretty large. I'm using a large count because I really do want to feel that I'm able to do it. And my experience in higher counts is still pretty small. So I'm playing for safety at the moment and going for this, what will ultimately be a very large piece. And that's fine if I can find a frame that's going to be large enough. Now, I'm really enjoying this. It's, as I say, it's Georgian 1834, and the original design presumably could even have been 18th century. But it's a very ordered border. I do like that. I like a very steady and quite open border. It's slightly tricky working with the photographs, and this is my graphing at the moment, and you can see there are a great many calculations going on there, because it has to be accurate. It's not just working off somebody's chart where they have accomplished it, and that you're working on something that's already been completed. In this, it's more of an archaeological dig as far as I'm concerned, and it is very exciting. So moving on, and I'm very pleased that I have decided to make a bag, a work bag, and keep everything very safe and clean as well. So let's go with samplers that are less exalted. Perhaps they're not the Mount Everests, but the lower foothills perhaps, and quicker stitches usually, and things that I'm really enjoying and that you can share, because they are of course obtainable for you to be doing as well. The next one is one that I saw when I was looking at Brenda and the serial starter or stitcher. I never can remember that. Serial, I think it must be starter. And her name is Laura, and she particularly liked this one. And when I saw it, I thought, no, that's one I'm definitely going to be working on. Now this is still sitting in plastic, so I don't know if I'll make a work bag for this one or not. I'm using the DMC, and this is a lovely one to be doing for me. Let me just show you it first, and then I'll show you the... this is my progress. And you'll see that all of the, I think all of the work that I've done in the past week has been some sort of plant in a basket. And this is now completed, that rather lovely plant in the basket. And the reason that there are a couple of reasons I'm really enjoying this one. I'll just get this out of the packet for you. It's Charlotte Frost, 1846. And this jumped out at me because I love the order in it and the spaciousness of it. I like that the design works extremely well. It's very measured, and there's a piece that comes just for that, orderly, not too cluttered, everything balanced in it. It's by the Scarlet House, and it's following on the psalm, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. And she's put here ever, but we would say, certainly in the King James, we would say in the house of the Lord forever. Charlotte Frost's work, aged 11 years, 1846. And there we have, and of course it's the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, so we're the sheep. And the other reason, another one of the reasons that I like this is the choice of thread. Now the linen is corn tassel, and it's 37 count corn tassel by Legacy Linen. And I obtained this piece of linen through 123 stitch, and it has a sort of almost yellowish look to it, which means that with the choice of the thread, it's a very bright sampler. And that's the other reason I'm enjoying it. Usually I'm going for pinks and blues, soft, gentle pastels. And these are colours I would never have chosen. Absolutely not in a month of Sundays would I ever have thought of making a basket in blue and red. And it's a particularly bright blue. And as you can see, the red is very bright as well. But it works. I really, really am enjoying this. They're almost a sort of childish choice of colours, I feel. And the actual colour range is, Let's see if I can find it. Very limited. There aren't very many. The needlepoint ink silks is the silk choice for this, and certainly if I was doing it again, I think I would go with the silk. But I have DMC, and I wanted to start it, so off we went. By the way, the corn tassel linen is from Access Commodities. So the number of colours are not that great. I think it's 14, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, but there's an accrue as well. So not a huge number of threads. And the red, it's all one red all the way through, as far as I checked that. But certainly the house is the same as what I'm using up here in the basket. So it's going to be a very bright house. And I think that I will be good and obedient and diligent and follow the Scarlet House and their suggestion rather than messing around and trying my own colours. I'll go ahead and I will reproduce exactly what they've asked for in DMC. That's wise if you want it to come out exactly the way that it is in the picture. And because I'm using my own colour choices in the family sampler, and I think another one, it's rather refreshing again just to follow through something that's in the chart. It's all decided for you, and off you go. Now I have been working on Rose Cottage sampler Pin Keep by Stacey Nash for quite some time. It's not my favourite, I have to say. Sort of grinding through it. Didn't fall in love with it, but you might. So don't let me put you off. And I have to say, I don't buy a great many charts, and this one kept jumping out at me. It really did. So I do feel that I shouldn't be putting you off at all. I think the reason that I'm not particularly keen on it is the fabric. The fabric in the picture comes across as a tan-ish, brownish, and they've asked that you use Confederate grey, and it's says what it is. It's grey, and I think that's why I'm not really very happy with it. It's 32 count Weeks Dye Works grey Zweigart base, and I love Weeks Dye Works linen. I really do. I like the loose weave, but it's quite a cold. It's quite a cold final result that's coming up. I think the red with the grey for me doesn't, with the blue, it doesn't quite, to me that doesn't really work. However, I'm persevering and I'm quite enjoying it, and please don't let me put you off. It's 8 inches square, so it's quite large. And this is what I went ahead and did. As I say, this past week I've been doing plants, even plants in baskets, and I certainly enjoyed that. And actually I did put a brighter center in the flowers. I chose a brighter thread. I'm using DMC, and as you'll know, if you've been following me, I started at the bottom and got all the ducks in a row, as it were, or doves, or whatever they are. What else can I say about it? Yes, I worked up this side because I did want to get to the alphabet at the top. There is an alphabet at the top here, and numbers, are an alphabet and our numbers going along. And then they have, you see, it does look lovely, doesn't it? It really does. It's just been the wrong choice, I feel, of linen for me. It then has initials and a basket, a motif, and more initials. I think that I will replace the initials and the basket perhaps with a little saying, some sort of motto or quote coming along, something short and sweet, and put it in there, because I don't really think I want to be putting in initials, but that would be the only change. So that is Rose Cottage Sampler Pin Keep by Stacey Nash. Now, another one that I picked up again, and I'm really enjoying this, is My Heart Can Rest by Blackbird Designs. That's the original, and it has very faded colours going around it. And Blackbird have taken away the flag on top, put on a bird on top of the house. I think they might have changed the house a little bit. And I'm going to keep the flag and the little house. I think they're lovely. It's French, 1842, and I'm loving this because it's quirky. It's really, you can see the border there is, it's quirky, and I'm loving it. And I am doing this in silk as well. It's my only choice of silks, my own choice. And I'm absolutely loving doing this. And I didn't do all the border all the way around. I think it was a week where I was endlessly doing borders, so I wanted to jump in the middle. And I did the roses a couple of weeks ago, and now I've done the plant. It's a tree this time. And really enjoying that. This will come out really beautifully. The linen is R&R Reproduction, 36 count winter brew, and I'm loving that texture as well. I really am. Really liking that. The corn tassel, quite a firm. That's a much more firm linen. I prefer a looser one, I have to say. And my silks, let me just tell you the sorts of things I'm just using a mixture. The Gloriana is Elizabethan green, desert rose, toadstool, honey bronze, Italian gold, the dried pink roses, leaf green is that really bright green. And I have to say that if you don't get a bright enough green, I honestly don't think this is going to work for you. It's got to be an acid green, and I did have to look rather hard to get a really bright green. It's the originals of really bright acidy green, whereas Blackbird Designs, it's a duller, it's got a more khaki through it, so just be careful with that, getting a green that's going to work for you. And certainly Gloriana leaf green is a lovely acid green. I should show it to you, I'm not sure where it is. Aversois, that's the only one that isn't Gloriana, and that's 2212. Gloriana Olive Grove, and I also have something called Rose Blush, which is, I think it's Karen Water Lilies. You can see there's a bit of a mix. Yes, Karen Water Lilies. So that's my choice, but I may add a little more from my pile of Gloriana and other silks as I'm completing this. Really lovely, fresh feel to it. Now, finally, I have been alternating Come Into My Garden with Merrily Merrily, and week by week Now I did do a fortnight on Merrily Merrily just a couple of weeks ago because I wanted to keep going with it. And as you will know, I'm absolutely loving Come Into My Garden, and a great many of you are doing Come Into My Garden. It's lovely to see everybody and their choice of linen. Now the linen, again, this is Blackbird Designs, and I think it was Barb Adams who designed and stitched it, and there's a lovely feel to this, and as someone said, it's like it stitches itself. It really does. It gives to you as you're stitching. It doesn't fight you. And I decided to go with, I got most of the border done, and then I decided to start at the top and work down, and including the side borders as I went, section by section. And I've got to about there at the moment, come down from the top. And the linen that's chosen, that's advocated, is 36 count Velt, which has got quite a strong green mottling through it. Velt is a lovely choice, but I went for vintage country mocha now, which is quite a sandy tan, and I'm finding, I think I will take it out the hoop actually, the sandy tan, I feel, is a better base for the thread choice. I just think that it is a better base for the reds, for example, and so I'm happy I went with the vintage country mocha, and I'm stitching on the mottled side of that. I use a hoop, by the way, and I have tried. I do have a number of floor frames actually, but I've always just come back to a small hoop. You're focused on the area itself, and you may have to sort of roll up, if it's a large piece of linen, roll it up and peg it to keep it out of the way so that you can get your hand in, because I use the in and out method of embroidery rather than the sewing method, which is slower because there's more to a movement, more movement to a stitch. But I just love the focus, and I would say the only drawback is that, of course, it marks the linen, and then, the more you press linen, it's all right for the linen. Linen loves to be washed and pressed. I used to weave linen, actually, hand weave linen. That's another story I'll tell you another time. But it's not very happy about being pressed by an iron, because it's not the linen, it's the stitches. As soon as you press stitches with a hot iron, you've lost a lot. So anyway, I'm not so sure about that. I'm hesitating because I think I will tell you the story now. It's probably a suitable time. I used to live in Ireland, and part of my heart has been left in Ireland. As people will know, I'm British, Scottish, and I just loved Ireland, and I was there for quite a while, a number of years. And while I was there, one of the times I lived there, I moved in. I'd been taught by a lady who wanted to swap lessons with me, and I was looking for weaving lessons, and she was looking for lessons that I could give her, and I'm going to be very quiet about what that was, but that was my training. And I have to say I was the one who came out rather more successfully. I had gone into Salisbury in England and into a bookshop, and was drawn to a book, opened it up, and there was the most amazing weaving. Oh, I thought, oh, I'd love to learn to weave. So it didn't take terribly long for me to track down this lovely lady and a Danish lady who taught me how to weave. And it was rather, I don't know, it was rather unexpected. I didn't know an awful lot at that time about my family background on either side of the family. And so she set me set me up with a lesson and said, well, come back next week. And so I arrived back with this piece, and she practically dropped on the floor. She said, you didn't do that, did you? And I said, yes. And and I just got on with it and done this. Sadly, I don't have it to show you. And she said, oh, I can't. Yeah, this is amazing. Well, it turned out that weaving is in my family background going back. They were weavers, and they were weavers in the islands of Scotland, and probably in the Highlands as well, because weaving is very much intrinsic to the indigenous population. And so it was just a natural talent that had come down through a DNA lump, and I could do it. So anyway, I did some more lessons with her, and as I say, I taught her, and that didn't work out very well actually, because what my training is, it takes absolutely years to do properly, and I wonder if you can guess what that is. But anyway, I moved back to Ireland, and by this time I had bought a huge floor loom, and was deeply into, if you'd spoken to me at all, it would have been you would have been bored, because all I talked about was weaving. And I set up my very large floor loom in my house there in the front room, and the villagers immediately came and said, do you realise that your house, it was a new house, a new build, is built on a weaving green? And I said, this is absolutely amazing, because it was a weaving village. I didn't know. And the weavers would weave their linen and then lay it out to bleach in the sun and on a bleaching green. And that's where I was living. And they called me, it was very endearing, they called me the lady with the loom. And so I was sort of taken to their hearts immediately, and I had a lovely, lovely time there. I really did. And I was weaving away, and my daughter said, "Why?" I'd come across something called the Royal Dublin Society. Again, I knew absolutely this wasn't my training. I knew nothing about this, and it was my elder daughter who said, "Oh, why don't you put in some of your linen?" I was hand weaving linen, pretty fine as well. I was down to 100 threads an inch, and so she really had to push me. And I had this little bit of linen that I had designed and woven in linen, pure white linen, and I put it in a white box. And she said, come on, let's just go down to Dublin. Dublin was south of us, and just put it in. See if you were accepted, because it's a very, very big thing, the Royal Dublin Society and their show and all their. So we nearly turned back, but she encouraged me. We went down, and there were crowds of people with the most amazing crafts. I mean, just mind-blowing lace and just wood turning. And we were way, way, way at the back of a queue. And I said, I really don't think, me with my little white box. She said, come on, mummy, just hang on in there. So I won. I won top crafts person. I swept the boards. I won all 4 prizes. It was just, life was incredible, and absolutely incredible. It was so humbling, And that was in 1996. So I know they've got records now, but the thing about the internet is that when the internet came along, all of these sort of records didn't seem to necessarily get put on to the internet. And so I think the Royal Dublin Society, which is really prestigious, I'm not sure I'm on their records on their website. And I need to phone them. I need to say, would you mind putting my name on? Because I don't think they've gone back as far as 1996. Anyway, that's how I got into linen. And I really keep meaning to say that I'm going to do some sort of history of linen weaving in Scotland. And did you know that the covered wagons going across America, the linen that covered them was made in Scotland? So I really need to get going and get some history into my episodes for you. Needless to say, my life moved on. I've had more than 9 lives, and that was one life I had. And the day came when I moved away from Ireland, and I came totally unexpectedly back to Scotland to live in Scotland. And my weaving days were over, and I moved into oil painting. So that was my next life. And I must show you what I do have, which is a couple of little woven bags that I did. I'll probably have an episode just on bags, little bags. Anyway, come into my garden. Here is my progress, and the flower that I have done is where is it? Oh yes, it's here. It's on the side here. That one there. And a little bit in here. So not a huge amount done. A little bit more of the house. A little bit more of the house. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's been a little of a great deal. A little of a great deal. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching so many of you. I won't give out the names that I've been watching, but I certainly do watch, and watch often in awe and amazement at all of the other talented ladies who are out there with their Flosstube episodes, and also the people who aren't actually making anything at all but are just enjoying us, but who are supporting by subscribing. And I have to say thank you very much to all my subscribers, and the numbers are increasing, which is just amazing. It's just amazing. So I think it's been shorter this week. I don't know, I didn't mean to go into my Royal Dublin Society story, but it just seemed fitting. And have a lovely time this week, stitching away or enjoying watching other people stitching, if you like. And I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.